Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the HalfGen podcast. We're here. Incredible. Another day, another podcast. This one was not as planned. Yesterday is the day we normally Wednesdays are the days we normally record this. We do it live on Twitch, which that part we did. And then a crazy storm. I'm sorry, I'm bumping my microphone. Crazy storm came through, knocked out Ross's power. Pardon me, right as we were about to transition to our planned part 2 of that episode. So we lost a lot, and so we just kind of decided to scrap that. We're going to come back. We had a plan for yesterday's episode. I know we hyped it up. And it's still, that plan is still in the works. We just have to re-coordinate some of it. But, today you're just going to get your regularly scheduled HalfGen podcast. Guys, I'm Chris, and joined, as always, my friend Ross. How are you doing?
Doing great. Happy to be here.
And then the mysterious voice with no picture is our boy Tony. How you doing, my friend?
Yo, I'm doing pretty good. We're gonna keep it that way. No one's ever gonna know what I look like. Just that voice. That's just there.
It's one of life's great mysteries. I just need you to get like a VTuber of like Olmec from Legends of the Hidden Temple. So
I should
it's just
probably do
that
that.
mouth moving and just have you say "Let's rock" over and over again.
I wonder
just
if
make a bunch of rock puns. Well, no, Ross won't want to be here then.
I wonder if I'm able to do that with Zencaster. Just slap it there instead of my webcam.
You could probably just instead of a webcam, if you can make that like a video output thing somehow. I bet that could work.
That'll be for another time. We'll see.
Yeah, it's stuff to test another day.
Like there is a program on Steam that's I think free. That
VTuber thing that everybody uses. I don't remember what it's called.
I don't either, but if
I
I search
exactly
up VTuber, I can probably find it.
Ross, would you ever want to be a VTuber?
I'd rather die.
VTuber or die.
What have they done to you?
I think that's going to be a title right there. VTuber or die. Okay. So I don't know. It's like we're recording this a day late, and I'm just like, man, it's throwing off my vibe. But we're gonna make the most of it. Tony, you had something you wanted to talk about on the show, so I'm just gonna let you roll with it. Take it away.
Yeah. So a long time ago, back in 2003, I think that's when it came out.
Wow.
A game called GrandChase. I don't know if you ever seen it or played it. It's a very old game. They shut down the servers.
GrandChase?
Yeah.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, it went on for a while. They finally shut down the servers in somewhere between 2013 and 2015. Maybe? Yeah. So this is probably a game that I've put the most time into, thousands of hours into, back when middle school, high school that I was playing it. So I have a lot of great memories of it and stuff. So I just found out yesterday. That's why I texted him. I was like, hey, did you guys start? I want to be on here and talk about this. I found out yesterday that they're bringing back the classic version to Steam.
Oh, shit.
Yeah,
this looks like more anime Maple Story.
It
kind
of is, yeah.
To look.
Okay.
It's like a side-scrolling anime inspired looking game. But yeah, this was the game that I played a lot back then, and Met a lot of people, and it was pretty sad when they shut it all down. And then they made a mobile game. You've probably seen the mobile game, right? I don't know if it was pretty.
Is it also called GrandChase?
Yes, it is.
That might be the images I'm seeing then.
Maybe. But yeah, they came out with that mobile game, and I tried it, and they have the same like intro theme as they did for the original game, and that brought back some nostalgia. Now that I'm seeing this, I'm pretty fucking hyped for it.
So the mobile game, like, it just didn't have the magic.
No, it was. I don't know how to explain it, but yeah, it because the mobile game is not like a side scroll like the original game was. It was a gacha game that I don't know, just didn't really have the magic. But
I get you.
honestly, nowadays, like I can't really get into a game. I don't know. We'll see if I still feel the same way about it now than I did back then. But I'm pretty excited for it, and they're having a closed beta test period, and sign up ends on like the 6th or something. And this game comes out actually next month, which is crazy because he just dropped this, and then hey, it's coming out next month. So I'm excited.
It's on Steam.
Yeah, they bring it to Steam. I think it's just called GrandChase.
Yeah,
That's
GrandChase
yeah.
Classic is what
Yeah.
it says in the image, at least.
Yeah, but the
Okay,
title
so there's a
GrandChase,
trailer and
yeah.
everything. Okay, yeah, wow. All right.
Yeah, these are just like shit they released throughout the years, and I guess they didn't make anything for its coming back release. Yeah, this game was really good. I spent a lot of time. I spent a bit of money, whatever money I had during middle school and high school days.
This looks like a game that would have 100% been on PSP if it could have.
Yeah,
The game just looks like a PSP game.
it was a pretty great game back in the day. It's pretty popular back during the X-Fire and the MySpace days.
Oh God, forgot about my.
Is it still around?
Yes, in
I know
some
it's like
capacity.
only for like it's mostly for like music creators and stuff like that. But
Yeah, MySpace took a weird turn after it was very clear they were not as good as Facebook.
yeah,
And then Facebook took a weird turn when they were not good. So like
just waiting for
all
the next
social
one.
media is bad, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's all bad. And it's all ruining us every day. A little worse.
Everyone's becoming degenerates.
Well, I mean, they didn't need much help for that. Everyone's born a degenerate. They just don't know it yet.
And
Varying
social
degrees of
media
degenerate.
just ignites that fire that they need. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this game more so than I looked forward to Phantasy Star Online 2.
Oh, wow. Okay. Because you were really excited for New Genesis.
Yeah, I mean, I really was.
Have you
Have
still
put
been
a lot of
having
time in
problems?
there?
I haven't tried it recently. Like,
Because I know when it came out, there were a ton of issues.
yeah, the servers were like highly unstable. You were just lagging all over the place. But at the moment, like, there really isn't that much content in it right now. I've pretty much just beaten every content they have, and now it's just like the grind, which I'm never a fan of.
Fair enough. I hope at some point it gets there, because they made a really big deal about that. And then, haven't really done much with it from what I understand.
Yeah, there isn't much there at the moment.
From what I understand is when you launch the game, you have the option to launch New Genesis or the original.
Yeah.
Which seems really weird because that just so what the hell is New Genesis if it's I get it's different, but if you're just launching it from the same launcher, how different can it really be?
Yeah, I don't understand why they just tacked it onto the original game because this New Genesis is nothing really. I guess it's because you get to keep a lot of the cosmetic items that you had in the original game and it transfers over to the new game. So that might be a thing. That's probably why. But yeah, other than that, it's a completely different game.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. You been playing anything else, or just
No,
spending time?
just
Because
I'm pretty much being on GTRP pretty much every day.
you should. So I know we talk about that a lot, but we haven't had you on the show since you got into that. So kind of,
Yeah.
if you'd
Oh
be
yeah.
so
That's right.
kind, talk about GTA RP from the inside.
Yeah, I didn't think I would really get into it because like Nat invited me into it, and I just like made a character. And I was like, yeah, who knows if I get into this or not? Because I'm not really that into like role playing stuff like that. So I think it's mostly because I'm having fun hanging out with the people in there. So I'm in this like auto shop. Owner of it's Captain Jack Sparrow. Yeah, he has the voice and everything.
Okay,
So he runs
that's
an auto
pretty par for the
shop.
course. Okay.
Yeah, I've been being a tow truck driver, so I guess it's been nice like hanging out with them, talking to them and stuff like that, shooting the shit.
Are you still Nat's brother?
Yeah, but he hasn't been on in a while because so recently, like a couple weeks ago, they reduced the capacity from 80 to 64.
Oh,
I don't know why. They say it's like for quality, quote unquote, control.
I mean, I guess, but
It's still getting a lot of fucking people just like going around shooting people, robbing everyone. So I don't know how that's really, yeah. But because of that, there's like a long ass queue now that you have to wait like 2-3+ hours to get into. But they do have like, you can donate to their Patreon and get like queue priority and stuff like that. But yeah, Nat's been like that really turned that off, so he hasn't been on.
fair
So I've
enough.
just been going around meeting new people, hanging out with them.
Yeah, but so like with the I'm trying to think of how I want to word this cuz like, I watch a lot of RP and like part of me wants to get into it, but the other part of me is just like, man, like there is just this commitment to that, like to play something like that I feel like, with how I play other games and things like that, I just don't have the time, I feel like, to commit to GTA RP.
Yeah, it's
How do you
definitely a commitment that you have to stick to. You can't just like play a couple hours and move on to something else. Like it's pretty much living another life in there.
so like how do you feel kind of like playing that, cuz one, you're not a streamer. So you're not doing it for the views. And you're doing this on top of playing other stuff. Like do you feel like you're just like committing all your time to that now because you want to, like you're just hyped to get really good at the RP, or are you just kind of playing it as like a different way to play GTA 5?
Yeah, it's definitely a different way to play GTA 5 because like I'm not RPing like crazy. Like I'm just there to like hang out with the people there and get cool looking cars and stuff. Because they have
You
like a
just want
bunch of
cars that look like the real life cars.
yep, and they have a bunch of imports, but they're like crazy expensive, and I'm trying to like find ways to make that money and yeah.
Cool. I mean, I'm always like super interested in like the RP stuff. Like I watch a lot of No Pixel, and I'm not saying this to take away like from your RP experience, but like I just like that's the RP that I usually watch is like a lot of No Pixel. And like today I'm watching a stream and the cops had like this guy who was role playing as like a guard robot, and like people are telling him like, oh, shut down, and like he just plays like a Windows XP sound of like shutting down and falls on the ground. And it's like people's like commitment to the bit when they like nail it, that is some of the most entertaining stuff you can watch. Like I know you're not on No Pixel, but like, have you seen like a lot of like with the people you're playing with? Are you seeing a lot of like that really good RP? Like, yo, this dude can like really do it, or are you just kind of seeing the people that like they're who are also like you just doing casual RP?
I think most of it is just people like me that's just casually playing it and just being themselves or something. And then like there's a couple characters I meet here and there that definitely like really try to play their part. Like my boss, Captain Jack Sparrow.
What a weird sentence.
I never thought I'd say it. Yeah, I think
Another potential title.
I've watched a lot recently. I've watched a lot of like highlights of No Pixel, but like there definitely like a lot of like talent in No Pixel. They definitely like are really good at playing characters and whatnot. So here in the server I play in, it's mostly just like people just casually hanging out and stuff like that.
Okay. Like, do you have any interest in being like, hey, you know what? I want to up my RP game and I want to get on like a No Pixel or something like that? Or are you strictly just in it for what you're doing right now?
Yeah, I think I'm just in it for what I'm doing right now. I don't know if I can commit to a bit for a long extended period of time.
Fair enough. See, that's the thing is like, yeah, if I ever did it, I would want to go all the way with it. That's my thing. Like I would want to do GTA RP like I do Destiny, you know?
Yeah.
I would want that full experience, and I would want to like interact with those people. Like I would want to get to the server with the really good RP people so I could do that. That would be my goal. I feel like Nat's really good at it. Like I feel like I feel like he has the potential. He could make it on one of those because Nat just has like that kind of vibrant personality.
Yeah.
And like every time he walks up to somebody, he's just like, "Hey, my name's Seymour Dollars. What's up?"
Yep.
You know, and he just involves himself in what everyone is doing. And that's the best way to do RP is just walk up, introduce yourself, and just like, we're involved now. Like Nat makes sure when he wants to RP, he is RPing, you know?
Yeah, like every person we've ran across when we were playing, he just sits with that yellow.
Yeah. And like that's the thing is like I'm watching him play it and like everyone knows who he is. Everybody's like, "Yo, Seymour!" Like he told me the story. Like Ross, I don't know if you've talked to Nat much since he started doing the role play, but like he's talking to me one night and he's just playing and like some dude's getting arrested and he's just like, "Hey Seymour, help me out, man, they're arresting me." Like everyone in town knows who he is and they're just calling him out and just like, "Yo, help me out with this," or "Yo, dude, watch out for these people, they're robbing everybody." Like it's crazy and like it's a ton of fun to watch him because I feel like on like the smaller servers the best players are the people who are making the RP happen because everybody else is like kind of nervous and they're like, "Oh, you know, if it happens, it happens." But Nat is like that kind of entertainer that he gets in and he just starts like, if you're not already doing the RP, he's going to get you doing it.
Mm, yeah, yeah. He definitely his energy definitely invites that for sure.
Yeah, and me and my introverted self, she was just calm and quiet. He's like the complete opposite of me. So he'd be a pretty good brother, you know. Here I am.
Because I just love like that was the thing with him is like he immediately was just like, "Yo, this is my brother," and like it just immediately got you involved with everyone else's RP.
Yep, almost got me involved in an MC club that I probably didn't want to join. Because this person was all like, "Hey, I'm making an MC club." He's like, "Oh yeah, I think I might be interested. Have you met my brother?" I'm like, "Oh no."
But that's good though. That's the thing is like, you know, that gets you involved, and that's the thing is like the good. I just think that's a further point that like Nat is just like a natural for that because he gets people involved, and I wish he was here because he would probably not, you know, he'd probably be like, "No, I'm just fine, I'm not worried about," but like he is an entertainer like to the core. You know, like even when I was talking to him, like he was the reason I wanted to get into it because me and him were bouncing ideas. my personal like we were gonna be like these old grannies and just be like, just like Golden Girls, and just make really uncomfortable conversations in front of people. It's just gonna be like I was gonna what was my name? It was Barbara. I was gonna be Barbara, and I was just gonna be like, listen here, sweetheart. That was gonna be like my thing, and he was also gonna do it, and we were just gonna make everybody uncomfortable.
Oh yeah, that
My favorite though is I wanted to be like two like frat bros, but I'm convinced I have superpowers and we're trying to discover what they are. That was my favorite idea that we had. And I just wanted to go around and just have people be like, dude, like what if you could fly? Yeah, like yeah, that's a great idea. I'm gonna jump off that building.
just that high frat boy.
Nat's just gonna like be recording it all the time. Like you're good, man. Nat's just gonna be like the worst influence. And that was so much fun. It was just like me and him, like between him like having RP, we're just kind of talking, and like that got me like really into it. And I just had to decide because I was like, man, I have this huge backlog of games, so I can either do GTA RP or I can catch up on my backlog. And unfortunately, I made the responsible decision to catch up on my backlog. I haven't decided yet if it was the right move, but it's the move I made. But
Nat isn't really around much more, so maybe it's probably was a good decision.
I feel like Ross would be great at GTA RP because he could just be like a Patrick Star. He could just be like a Patrick Star, and like he'd be perfect. Like he would just run onto the screen, just little, and like everybody would be like, "Who the hell is that guy?" Like everyone would know who he is because he would just do a bunch of like random. Because Ross would not like. Ross doesn't think he has what it takes. He absolutely does, and I think Ross would be hilarious in that. He won't do it, but I think he would be hilarious. Yeah, I would watch you, Ross.
Because I've seen on clips of a guy playing Plankton. I don't know if you've seen him, but he fucking nails that shit so good.
I still love the guy who was playing like Johnny Silverhand, and like he kept like lagging when he kept opening the door for a car, and then he would like do an emote to freeze himself, and he'd be like, "Okay, I'm in," and they'd drive away. He'd be like, "Wait, I'm out," and like he'd just be like, "Hold on." So he'd open and close the door over and over. He's like, "Don't worry, I've got it." And he would just be buggy cyberpunk everywhere he went.
It's pretty good.
Occasionally he would lag his voice, so he'd just start sounding like a robot. Everybody would be like, "You good?" He'd just be like, he'd fall on the ground. He would T-pose.
Perfect.
Oh, it was great. There was a guy who did Gordon Ramsay, and he kept holding like MasterChef competition. I think it's the same guy who does the Johnny Silverhand. He's great. That guy is incredible at RP. I'm sure we could talk about this all day, but other than the RP and your upcoming exciting game, GrandChase, I'm trying to get better about like mentioning, because like at the end of the show, I'm always like, I'm trying to write like what we talked about in the episode. I'm like, what the hell game did they say they played? So I'm trying to say it more so I remember for my own sake, but I'm sure it'll also be, oh shit, Russell got his Series S. Let's go.
Oh, nice.
Coming for the 21st. Let's go. Make sure to get that Game Pass. Play all the games.
I was playing a lot of
that Game Pass
today.
Yeah, let me see that Game Pass. So anything else you've been playing, Tony?
I don't know. That's been it.
Ross, tell me about your Game Pass.
Yeah. So I've been playing a lot of Halo recently.
Oh yeah.
I've been playing a lot of the multiplayer, just because I still love the multiplayer. I mostly play 3, but I play 2 and 3, just because those were kind of my heydays with the game. So right now the like
Classic 2, not Anniversary, right?
Yeah. I tried Anniversary multiplayer and it didn't feel right to me, so I went back to normal.
I agree with you. That's why I was asking.
Mm-hmm.
I might jump in with you one of these days, maybe, because like Halo 2 and 3 are the 2 I would play if I were to do it.
Yeah.
And you can pick just those for the playlist, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And you can select which games you want to search or matchmake for, and what game types as well. So like right now in 3 and I think 2 as well, Rocket Race is kind of the early seasonal playlist. They just released kind of season 7 of Master Chief Collection, where they dropped a whole lot of elite cosmetics, because there had been pretty much nothing up until that point. So they dropped a ton of elite cosmetic stuff, like different shaders for the swords and armor and stuff. That's pretty cool. But yeah, that's kind of what I've been doing a lot of recently. Chris and I tried to do some campaign. I had the Game Pass version on PC that I was playing, and it's terrible.
Yeah, the Game Pass PC experience is less than ideal in every regard.
Yeah, and it wasn't Halo's fault. It was the Game Pass app's fault.
It was the Windows Store version of the game's fault.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we were doing the playlist to where we did the last mission for Halos 1 through 4, just back to back. And then once we did 1, and then once we got to Halo 2, it would bring up the loading screen, and the loading bar would go all the way up, and then it would boot me and disconnect me every single time.
We should try that again, since you have the Steam one now. Have you had any problems on the Steam one yet?
Nope, no problems.
Have you noticed it working better overall than the Game Pass version?
Yeah, like it's not having as many like syncing issues, like for like cross save stuff with the server. Yeah. Like it's updating stuff after I do stuff on my Series S. So yeah, not having any problems with that. But
perfect.
Yeah,
I'm glad you like it.
Yeah. So and kind of the biggest shock to me so far is that I hadn't really played the campaign of Halo Reach since it came out in 2010, 2011. What year?
2010.
I think it was 2010.
Yeah, because then Halo 4 was 2 years later.
Right, yeah.
Because 09 was ODST. Yeah.
So definitely I hadn't played Reach since it came out. Back in the day, I liked it well enough, but I didn't love it. I think it had some really good moments, but it also, like, Bungie went out of their way to contradict a lot of the lore from the books that had been established just because they didn't like it, which was a bummer for me as a lore fan. But I tried replaying it over the years, and it just feels bad. But now with it at 60 frames per second, it actually feels fine to play again, which is interesting. Like all the other Halo games, I've gone back and like just popped in the original version, the original discs, and like I'm still like super fine with those at 30 frames per second. But for some reason, Reach just feels bad at 30 frames per second. So I started the Reach campaign again. And
I don't think Reach consistently hits 30 FPS. At least it didn't like on the original hardware. Mm-hmm. So I feel like smoothing that out just is a world of difference.
Yeah. So it's definitely making me want to. I played through the first couple missions, and I want to play through the rest of it. It's Chris and my goal is before Infinite comes out to record Let's Plays of us going through all of the campaigns for all the Halo games together before Infinite. So yeah, we're
gonna keep you busy, Tony.
Yeah, Tony, if you want to jump in on any of those, feel free.
We're gonna need more people when we get to 3, 4, and so are we gonna play them in order of release?
I was thinking about that
because that might make more sense, because then we don't have to drop players after Reach.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So we go release.
We'll just play 20 years of Halo in the order it released.
Yep, that sounds good.
That sounds like a win to me.
Yeah, where we get to play through Halo Combat Evolved, which had the best mystery and kind of atmosphere of the franchise of the mainline games.
I think the best setting of any of them. Just like the way that Halo ring.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that Zeta Halo can come even remotely close to capturing the spirit of of. Wasn't that Delta Halo, or is that Delta Halo is in 2.
Alpha Halo is installation 04. Yeah, I hope so. I mean, Zeta Halo has so much history behind it that you're going to learn a lot about when we have to re-announce bringing back the Halo Book Club.
We're bringing back the book club, and we're bringing it back to Halo because BioShock ruined it last time.
All right.
For the record, that was a good book. But
It was a good book. We
yeah,
never did our recording for that. The BioShock book, I'm trying not to bump my dad. The
Yep.
BioShock book was very good, and offered a lot of like insights that were definitely I wouldn't say they changed the experience of the game. Here we
I,
are over a year later talking about a
mhm.
book that we read. Uh, it
I think the book
enhances the
justified
story.
its existence.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so yeah, so the first,
Yeah, poor Anonymous. He finished reading that book and was waiting to record the book club. Anonymous is a real one. I'm sorry, Anonymous. Things got crazy.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So we're bringing it back to Halo because we know Chris and I know that we will definitely read those, and want to talk about them. Before we were going in release order for those, so we did the Fall of Reach, we did the Flood, we did First Strike, and we did Ghosts of Onyx. Next up would be Contact Harvest, but since Halo Infinite is releasing later this year, kind of figured it would make sense to read stories that will be more relevant to Infinite. So I don't think there's any more important entries in the Halo expanded universe than the Forerunner trilogy by Greg Bear that came out. I think the first book came out like 2011 or something.
That sounds about
So
right.
so yeah, we're starting with Halo Cryptum, the first book in the Forerunner trilogy. Um, that is the HalfGen Book Club book for July. So
Yeah, and you guys have until July 25th is when we are going to be regrouping to record the book club for that. So you got a solid 3-4 weeks. The last Sunday of the respective month is when we will be recording these episodes. So we'd love to have you guys in chat for that. To kind of hang around, ask some questions or talk about your favorite parts, and then maybe we hop on the Discord and just kind of talk through the book a little bit with everybody. I think that was the plan that we
yeah.
established with BioShock, and then we didn't do it because a lot of stuff happened unrelated to BioShock and the book club.
Mm-hmm.
So we just never got around to that. But we're coming back with Halo. We're going to read Halo through Infinite, and then I really do think we should.
We will
At
mix
some
it
point,
up.
it will branch out again. But
Yes,
right
yes.
now, Halo
Probably
is what's most relevant and is what we are the most interested in right now.
it's what's rustling our diddlies right now,
Yeah,
if you will.
Jimmy's.
I prefer diddlies. So we're starting with Halo Cryptum,
Should
which
I make that a
is
title?
uh, rustling our diddlies.
No,
Yeah,
I prefer
sure.
diddlies.
Yeah, I prefer diddlies. Yeah.
Oh no.
So yeah, Halo
Sorry.
Cryptum is the first one. I
Halo
will
Crypt.
say, for anyone unfamiliar, it is not a Master Chief book. Takes place during the height of Forerunner civilization, about I think it's 100,000 years, like 100,000 BCE. You get a lot more background information on like the Didact, the Librarian, and kind of 343 Guilty Spark. Like that's the main focus. Like Mendic and Bias from the Halo 3 terminals, offensive bias from the Halo 3 terminals. They basically 343, and none of this had been established before that point. So 343 basically gave Greg Bear, who is a very well established sci-fi writer, kind of gave him the reins to kind of do what he wanted to build out the world and kind of the universe of these things that have always been hinted at in the games but never expanded upon, to the point where he was writing I think he was writing Cryptum as Halo 4 was in development, and in Halo 4 they straight up just took specific quotes from the book. They used his kind of description for what the Didact looked like, and kind of built his character around that in the game. So the books are very intertwined with 343 and kind of the Reclaimer saga that's going in right now. I'll listen to it on audiobook. Yeah, I've heard the audiobooks for especially the Forerunner saga are very good. I've not listened to them myself, I've only read them, but that is a decent way to go about those.
I've been thinking about doing the audiobook because then I could listen to it in my car,
Mm-hmm.
and that's much
Yeah,
easier than reading it.
it's very true. It's very
It's very
true.
true.
And I think, let me just look up real fast for Cryptum. One thing I do like is when there's consistency between narrators in a specific like trilogy. Unfortunately, this is not one of those. There's a different narrator for every book. But the narrator for the second book is Timothy Didabo, aka the voice of 343 Guilty Spark. So you get to hear him, which is nice.
I like when they bring in the actors because I think they did that for
Mhm.
Silent Storm, I believe, the Master Chief book.
So I believe Steve Downs he recorded like a just a specific excerpt from it. I don't think he does the full thing, but
Oh, I thought he did. Damn.
yeah. But like Contact Arvis, like there's a narrator who does a few books, and also Jen Taylor does some stuff in that book as well. Like the Halo audiobooks are very well done. Um, in case you're wondering about how long, if you're an avid audiobook listener, Halo Cryptum, the length of the audiobook is 8 hours and 41 minutes, which honestly isn't that long. So
Not at all.
it's a pretty fast read, but it's definitely one that if you are listening to the audiobook, at least for me, I have problems focusing on multiple things at once. Like it's very dense with lore and terms. So if you are listening to it on audiobook, you do want to make sure you are paying attention and not just have it kind of on in the background as you're doing other stuff, because there's a lot of universe building, especially in that first book. So
Russell says you had me at
lore. Dude, there's Halo lore is my favorite lore out of any franchise. Like I thought it was Star Wars, and like I really enjoy a lot of the Star Wars books, but I don't hunger for them like the Halo books. I guess I don't know why, but yeah, I think there's like 28 Halo novels right now that have been released, and they announced another one for either later
There's
this
19 listed on the Kindle universe, but like that doesn't mean that's a complete list.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's 28 straight up novels at this point. And then there's the short story collections between Evolutions and Fractures, the reference guides, and then the books in the different time periods. Like I just finished up the Ace of Spades trilogy, which takes place like between Halo 4 and the end of Halo 5. And like I haven't run across a bad book so far. I've read about half. I've read about 13 or 14 of the books of the 28, and it's just eat it up. And if you love lore, the Forerunner trilogy is incredible. It like Fall of Reach is incredible for building on and giving a lot of backstory to Chief and Spartans in the games. The Forerunner saga, the Forerunner trilogy gives context and lore to the whole universe. Forerunners, precursors, ancient humanity, the monitors for the Halo installations, the Forerunner Flood War, like all these huge things in the Halo universe are explained and expanded upon. And I've been looking for a reason to reread these. So I'm very happy.
We found it.
We found it.
We did it.
I'm incredibly excited to dive back in.
I'm very excited. We're gonna convert all these people to like we got a bunch of fantasy fans in the chat. We're gonna make them all sci-fi fans via Halo. These guys are gonna like Anonymous and Russell. They like Dungeons and Dragons and Dragon Age and stuff like that. Couple weeks, like by the time Halo Infinite comes out, they're gonna be like, oh yeah, just like the Keys maneuver, right?
Yeah, Keys maneuver. Yeah. Oh, I wonder if they initiated the Cole Protocol. You'll know what that means.
Wait, yeah, was it? So hold on. So this happened, but then this happened, but then they're gonna go and replay the games. They're gonna be like, nah, oh my god, I saw the thing in the game when he talks about how he talked to this guy, and I'm gonna be like, yeah,
yeah. Let's just. I'll leave off the Halo book talk at this. Is that if you played Halo 4 and didn't really know what was happening, these books we were about to read will enhance the story of that game so much that I'm excited that Chris, you're going to get to read these, because I don't know if you're going to fall in love with them as much as I did, because I feel
try.
Because I feel like you're like a Chief Spartan kind of book guy, which is totally fine. And we have like Silent Storm and Oblivion, which are Chief stories to get to at some point. And for me, when I first read Cryptum, it definitely took a few chapters for me to kind of get into it. But then once I did, I was gone, man. I was gone. But yeah, Halo Book Club. Be excited. You like lore? We got lore.
You want lore? We'll give you lore.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, I've been playing a lot of Master Chief Collection.
Yes.
Yeah, so we will go back and do that playlist. And like I was saying, Halo 1 for me, best atmosphere and kind of mystery. Halo 2 for me has the most interesting story because of how much it delves into the Covenant. Playing the Covenant levels are not great, but the story is awesome. Halo 3 for me is just the best overall like campaign missions and multiplayer combination in the franchise. Halo 4 was a wet dream for a lore nerd like me, and then Halo 5 was not good. So that's kind of where we're at. And then Halo Wars games are interesting. I'm excited to replay 1 and to actually finish 2 because I honestly don't remember a ton of the story from 1.
So are we including that in our playthroughs? We're playing the Halo Wars games? Oh. You can't see on the audio, but he has leaned in. Oh,
we're playing the Halo Wars games.
I'm legendary, right?
Absolutely not, because mission 4 or 5 on the first game's literally impossible. I would like to finish these games.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
All right. I'm down. Listen.
Yeah.
I'm good. I am fully invested in the Spirit of Fire and her journey, and in continuing to prove that after Master Chief, Jerome is the best Spartan.
Yeah. Yep. I think there was a fan vote. There was a poll someone put on Twitter recently, and that was by far the most common opinion.
I think the coolest thing they could do in Halo Infinite is bring in the Spirit of Fire, have them end up there somehow, and then just bring Jerome in and kind of build him up as like the next big protagonist in Halo. Yeah, because Jerome is a fucking badass.
Yeah, I think it's super interesting because that whole Spartan team, was it Red Team from Halo Wars?
Yes, Spartan Red Team. The whole team is great
because the whole team initially rejected the augmentations in one form or another, and then were kind of
they all failed out.
Yeah, which is super fascinating.
But you can't keep a Spartan down.
No, Spartans never die; they only go missing.
Quite literally in their case.
Yeah.
Man, but, imagine them coming back someday and just being like, "Yeah, no, we're here. We're good. Yeah. We're good." Because he's old, but he's not that old because they've been in cryo.
Right. Yeah.
So he's as old as Chief. God, is Chief in like his 50s now? He was like 42 or something at the start of Halo 1.
Like late 40s, early 50s maybe.
He's almost 50, and he's just like, it's enough. He's just like, whatever, floating through space, loading guns, respecting the dead. He's got everything.
Yeah. And some games we will not be playing for our Halo marathon, and I haven't run these by Chris, but I don't think he will object, are Spartan Strike and Spartan Assault, which were generally mobile games that lore-wise are kind of fall in line with the Halo 4 multiplayer where there's simulations. And that's how that all works. And then we're not going to record it, but I texted Chris about it the other day. We are going to hit up a Dave & Buster's to play Halo Fireteam Raven because I really want to play that.
Do they have those still?
Yep.
Buster's?
And that's an ODST game, right? Those are ODST?
They are ODSTs, and it takes place on Installation 04 during Halo 1.
Let's go.
Nice.
Because the first mission is fighting off the Pillar of Autumn.
Yeah. So
that's your way off. Yeah.
That's four players. So if we can wrangle in Zane and maybe a fourth, that would be super fun. It only takes like 45 minutes.
Yeah, no, we will invest the funds. We'll make it. We'll get it done.
Yeah. So
I'm in.
So yeah, like about every third episode of the HalfGen podcast, this has turned into a Halo podcast. So yep.
It's okay. Ross is never happier than when these turn into a Halo episode.
I get so happy, man. I love the lore so much.
The smile on his face, like Ross is, Ross was like, yeah, no, I'm happy to be here. Yeah. Oh, we want to talk about Halo? Yeah. Let's talk about Halo.
Oh, okay. Yes. Let's talk about
Halo episode? Yeah.
Ooh, yes. Yeah. Let's just talk
Yeah, we're gonna rebrand. We are now HaloGen. Thank you very
Halo
much.
Gen. I'll get Ross. You can have Halo Gen.
Oh,
That can be
HaloGen,
your baby.
Perfect. Yeah.
Ross is just gonna have like weekly He's gonna have a weekly podcast just talking about Halo. He's gonna have weekly posts talking about Halo. He's gonna have a book club talking about Halo.
Yeah. Who wants to hear about Cesarefame and why he became the heretic that the Arbiter has to hunt down in Halo 2? I'd be happy to speak with you about it. Just let me know. I'll send you my calendar. Just make a meeting. Be happy to talk to you about why he shot the Arbiter when he could have convinced him about the Great Journey and its massive lie. Anyway.
Okay, now you have me interested, because why did he shoot instead of convince him? Because the Arbiter was listening.
He was. Why did it happen?
Damn it. You can't do this. I didn't know there was a reason he shot. I thought he just shot because he was like, I'm just stalling him and then I'm going to get out of here.
Interesting. Yes.
Oh, you're being an ass now.
Find out the next episode of HaloGen.
Yep.
Oh, God damn it.
Anyway, yeah, that's what I've been playing. Oh, also during our lost episode due to weather, another game I've recently briefly started because I thought, why the hell not? I started Killzone Liberation on my Vita.
Why the hell not?
Yeah, that got really good reviews back in the day, and it's like an
Game.
isometric. Yeah, it's an isometric kind of just go around shooting Hellghast and stuff. I got through the first couple
for a
missions.
while. That was the best Killzone game.
Yeah, yes, it was.
For a long while, that was the best Killzone game.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's it. It's mostly been all Halo all the time. So
fair enough. There's worse things you can do with your time. There's not many better.
You, Chris.
So my time's kind of been split across a couple different games. Not a ton of time in any one of them. I have been kind of slowly getting back into Destiny a little bit. They just finished their story content for the season, I think. I hope not, because it ended very poorly. Considering how promising it was up to that point, it really feels like a rushed finale. And considering next week is the Solstice of Heroes, Moments of Triumph. Moments of Triumph. I'm a little let down. There was a lot that they were kind of building up towards, like this big fight with like the Taken Mind, and it just kind of happened, and then it was over, and I didn't get any resolution to any of like the cool, like, who is Savathun disguised as on the tower story. It just kind of ended, and I'm like, oh,
okay,
so that's it. Like, I didn't even realize it was a mission until, like, I looked at the objective and it was like, go kill Quoria. And I was like, what? Excuse you? And it's just like 3 zones from the 3, like, expunge missions. And then it's just Panoptes, but taken. And for those who don't know, Panoptes was the final boss from Curse of Osiris. So they takened him. And then I killed 2 big boy Minotaurs. And then I thunder crashed Queria, and she just died.
Sounds like they ran out of time or ideas. One of the two.
I'm kind of hoping that maybe it's like a ruse, because they compared it a lot to like the Undying Mind, and I'm kind of hoping that maybe it was a setup, and maybe we didn't do what we thought we did.
Mm-hmm.
And like, nobody's really appreciating that it was way too easy to do what we did, because the Endless Night hasn't gone away yet. So we defeated the source of it, allegedly, but it's still there. So, like, something's not right. Something's got to change, right? I don't know. But yeah, so we'll see what happens with that. I really hope that maybe they just have like a really like neat trick up their sleeve, and they're just like, just wait till the end of the season and we're going to blow your mind or something. I've been playing more Necromunda, which I continue to enjoy, despite that game being so weird and like any individual aspect of that game being just okay at best, that game as a complete package is just so much fun, and I love it, and I can't stop playing it. Like, let me rephrase that. I can't stop playing it, but once I start, I just go, and the only thing that stops me is like going to bed. That game, like, it has such an incredible style to it. The gameplay loop, like, it's a bunch of like janky mechanics, but when they all like flow together, they feel really good. It's like such a like perfect B game. It is like the epitome of that type of game, of just it's a cheaper game, it's a budget game, but like it feels so good. So I was a little hesitant to get that when it came out because like I had heard mixed things, but I decided to kind of take the gamble, and I was like, whatever. If I don't like it, I can refund it. And then I played way through the refund window, and I was like having a great time. So I was like, whatever. I'm gonna play this game to completion. I have zero investment in the story. I'm just playing it to play it. I can barely tell you what's happening. I'm chasing a bunch of dudes down who I hate for some reason.
Yeah,
I don't know why, but I hate them a whole hell of a lot. Grr, indeed. What the hell else? I'm just double checking my list here. Yeah, I started Scarlett Nexus, which very much feels like. Okay, so let me paint you a picture here of what Scarlett Nexus is. Okay, I'm Bandai Namco. Okay, and Square Enix just released Nier Automata, and I thought it was incredible. And so my team is wrapping up development. My God Eater team is finishing up development on Code Vein, which was inspired by my previous love, Dark Souls, which I also publish. And so we decided, okay, we made anime Dark Souls. Next, we're gonna make anime Nier Automata. And then they were like, wait a minute, isn't that already anime? And they're like, not anime enough. And so they made a more anime Nier Automata with like a lot of dubstep instead of like good music, just a lot of dubstep.
No thanks.
And so in the first hour, I engaged in tutorial combat, which was fine. And then about 30 minutes passed in which I learned about my father, who helps run the nation, my brother, who runs the OSF or whatever it is, that I just joined as a recruit because I have some powers. And most people can't use those powers, but I can, to effectively fight an enemy called the Others. So they're just like, imagine just a conversation. Did you get the Others? What about the Others? Where are the Others?
It's terrible. It's a terrible name.
It's a horrible name. And they look like, if Nier Automata and like Persona's art style had a baby, it would be.
That part sounds cool.
Yeah, like, plant lady with a giant like crazy plant with like human legs and high heels is like the kind of thing it is. Everybody's brains are like integrated, so like the internet is like your brain. And so like they have like the city itself, like that I'm in, it's like some Neo Tokyo thing. It's super bland. It's just a bunch of like beige and orange. But like it's cool because like there's traffic driving on the street. So instead of being able to walk across the street, they put up like this orange barricade, and they're just like, no, you can't cross here. There's traffic. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's a cool little thing. And then later on in the demo, like some dude gets his brain eaten by the Others, and so they censor it. And so like there's like a little display, and the guys are talking, and they're like, yeah, it's really good that they censor our vision, because if you see enough like headless people, that'll really mess with you. And then my buddy brain texts me, and he's like, boy, am I glad that they can censor our vision today. And it's just like, what, dude? Hello? Do you hear what you're saying? Boy, I'm glad the government can censor my vision. There was a cool thing though, because like when the others attack the city, they put up all the orange walls and they just made like a straight path to the shelter. So it's like you can't deviate. People can't go into like side alleys and stuff like that. It's like you just get to the shelter. You physically can't go anywhere else. And I was like, see, that's actually a good use of this system, is like make sure that people only have one way to go to get to safety. And like that was an intelligent design. What's not an intelligent design is having a character who exists just to exposition and then tell you, now that I have time, let's talk. Even though he said we have to hurry and get out of here, but now that we have time, let's talk. And then just expositions to me about how my brain stuff works. And then I got a keychain. This game is nuts. I played like an hour. I fought like 2 battles and learned a lot.
Anime.
Yeah, that's
There's a lot of exposition that felt wholly unnecessary. Like, and it's not like the good exposition that feels like natural and world building. It's the, man, I can't believe your family shrine is a tourist attraction. You must be so lucky that your greatest grandfather or whoever the fuck he is 2,000 years ago built this nation. You must be so grateful to be related to him. Nah, man, I don't even feel like I'm related to him. It's so long ago. I'm just living my life, man. Hey, did you get that keychain from that vending machine in my family's tomb?
Make sure you visit the souvenir shop.
Your great super grandfather who got wounded in the war against the others, he made the solar calendar. In the solar calendar year 2020, made by him. Yeah, it's nothing special. You should see what my dad and brother do. They're crazy. Yeah, you're so lucky. And it's just like, dude, shut the I have the worst friends. He's terrible. He's a terrible friend. He just exists to talk to me about things my character should already know.
Ugh.
It makes me almost like long for like that Dark Souls feel of like, we're not going to tell you anything unless you search for it. Sometimes that feels superior when the other option is this. And then like the way they do like their conversations is like they take the screen, they kind of screen cap it, pull it back, and then put like panels of like the faces of the characters talking and like their lips move and stuff. But like everything's just standing there with like the freeze frame backdrop. And it's just like, that's a choice. Not the one I would have made, but it's certainly a choice. Which is weird because they have cutscenes that render in like real time. You can't see it if you're listening to the audio version, but Ross is very cringy right now. He's uncomfortable.
His head is currently trying to implode at the moment.
Is that steam or smoke?
His face is just giving in on itself. It's just...
I don't know what to do anymore.
Man, I wish my vision was being censored.
My ears. My poor ears.
He wishes his hearing was being censored.
Yep. There's an app for that.
Is there anything else I was playing? 2 other games I'm going to talk about. I am slowly but surely getting back into Bravely Default 2. I've been back on the grind for that. After like weeks of just like sending my ship out to sail, I like leveled up a bunch of like my jobs and stuff, and my characters are like really strong. So I'm like, boy, I should really just play this game now, huh? And so that's what I've been doing, and it's pretty nice. It's a good game. I like it. I don't have too much. I haven't put a ton of time into it recently, but I plan to play more. I got my Switch right over there, just kind of waiting to be play. Well, I got both of them over there. I've been playing it on my light, but I'll probably play it on the TV again at some point. It was one of those games that like I started streaming and I was like, I kind of came to a point where it was like, okay, if I keep going, I'm not going to stream it anymore. Am I comfortable with that? And then at another point I was like, I don't give a fuck. this game is going to sit here because I'm not going to stream it because I'm playing other stuff. I'm just going to play this game.
Yep.
So that's how Bravely Default is going to be finished. I'm just going to play it.
Yeah.
Just going to play it. The other game, now full disclosure for this other game I'm going to speak of, this is not related to HalfGen. I was personally sponsored to play Raid Shadow Legends on my Twitch stream. I say that because I'm about to have opinions about Raid Shadow Legends. I want to emphasize that that campaign is over. Any opinions I give at this point are not related at all. That's why I didn't even talk about it like last week when I was getting the sponsorship. I didn't even bring it up because I didn't want to talk about it while it was happening. But now that it's over and I can talk and I don't have to worry about like repercussions or anything. Unbiased HalfGen Chris opinion. Raid Shadow Legends is a pretty good game. Everyone here helped me out by playing a little bit of it at least for my campaign. But basically, it's like it is, it's a gotcha game at its core. But it has like a pretty satisfying like kind of gameplay loop, at least one that I'm enjoying. Almost like it's got like that turn-based battle system, almost kind of like old school JRPG kind of, where your units are going out and attacking and like using abilities. There's no like mana or anything, so there's just cooldowns. At least for what I'm doing, and I obviously have the benefit of having like my pack they gave me and stuff like that, but I have like a ton of energy, so I've just been going around like farming dungeons. There's a fully voiced like campaign. There's dungeons, there's PvP ish content. There's like a bunch of stuff going on, and like I have felt for the most part like I spent a little bit of money on the game, not as many as some of the people who I got into the game. But I've spent a little bit of money here and there, and I haven't felt like, okay, like I haven't yet felt like I need to spend the money. It was something I definitely wanted to do, and I felt like it was worth the money that I spent on it for the enjoyment I'm getting out of the game. I'm playing it like every day at this point. It's it's great because I play it on PC mostly when I'm home, but like honestly, like I was playing Destiny earlier and I kind of had my phone up on the kickstand next to me and I was just kind of running these campaign missions trying to farm these items while I was playing Destiny, which is really nice. So it's kind of a nice companion game. It's a game I can just kind of sit there and let it do its thing while I'm doing something else. But I genuinely enjoy the game in a way I really wasn't expecting.
So for those who may not have actually played it but have seen everyone and their mother do sponsorships for it in terms of the type of game it is, it's very similar to, as someone who has played some mobile games, very similar in terms of gameplay mechanics and overall kind of setup, like a Marvel Strike Force or a Final Fantasy Dissidia Opera Omnia, where it's a gacha game, and like Chris said, it's each character has their own abilities that run on cooldowns, turn-based battles, number of waves, all that sort of stuff. So it's in that same vein, just with very pretty graphics and original characters.
The game looks great. My particular thing was for PC, and it looked great on PC. It looks great on my phone though, too. Honestly, it's kind of nuts. Like I run it on my phone a bunch, and it runs just as well. Not that my phone's a slouch. I have a Note 10 Plus, but that's still like a 2-year-old phone at this point, and I have no issues running the game at like max settings. I don't play a ton of mobile games. There's a reason I don't talk about a lot of mobile games. It's not because I don't, mobile games are games. If I'm playing one, I'll tell you, and that's the thing. I just don't play a ton of them. That's the thing. I was really excited for like that Nier Reincarnation game, and I got into that and played a little bit of that. I've already played way more Raid Shadow Legends in the last week than I played of that game, which I've had for like 3 weeks at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So like I know it's a meme. I know it's like a stupid thing, and everybody probably could like all rolled their eyes when they heard me say, "Oh, Raid Shadow Legends." But like I don't know what it is, but that game, like my Destiny clan is all hooked on it right now. We were like all playing Destiny, and then we all started talking about it. Everybody started playing Raid Shadow Legends. Like they put Destiny down and they're like, okay, we're all going to play Raid. It's a dumb thing, but I kind of love it. How everybody has just become weirdly hooked on it. Oh, man. But yeah, that's all I've got for that. So we're going to do something we don't normally do. We're going to take a break, and then we're going to come back. We're going to finish up this episode. Russell may or may not be playing. Russell's one of our top players in the guild. Like Russell's in it to win it, my man. But we're gonna take a break. We're gonna come back, and we're gonna have more HalfGen podcast. Stay tuned. All right, everybody, welcome back. I learned things today about Zencastr, which is the program we use to record this show. I learned things, and I messed something up. And that is how I learn, is by doing something horribly wrong, like starting a new recording track without letting Ross finish uploading his video track. So this episode might look weird on YouTube, and that's my bad. Ross didn't do anything wrong.
This is the Technical Issues Podcast. Welcome.
I had assumed that Zencastr would be intelligent enough to continue uploading his thing on recording one. Apparently, it was not. I might... See, because I was going to say, like, maybe I'd try and go in there and re-upload, but then I won't have the data, so I won't have anything to re-upload.
Chris is just
maybe I'll have you screen share with me after, and we'll see if there's something we can do. I don't know. I goofed. I messed up. I gagged.
It happens.
But yeah, so where was that going? Right. So let's talk a little bit about some of the things that happened. Ross, before the show, you asked me a question.
Yes. The question was, how do you feel about this Dead Space news about it not being a new game, but a remake of the original?
I'm totally okay with that.
Who's developing
so
it?
long as they maintain the original story beats. Like there's like a certain integrity I need them to maintain, because the first Dead Space wasn't just a scary game. It told an incredible story. And so as long as they don't sacrifice that in the process of making this new one, then I'm okay with that.
And it is
because
Motive Studios who's bringing it, who recently made Star Wars Squadrons.
Yeah, like for me, you can't make a sequel because it's been so long. It's been 8 years, and you know that narrative kind of ran its course, and that narrative only still matters if you played the DLC, which not a lot of people did. For 3 specifically, the Aftermath DLC. And honestly, I don't really know where they would have gone from there, even if they had continued that story, because like it was weird. So I think this is a more responsible decision, kind of recreate that original experience. Because I've been saying this for a while, you know, Dead Space was born out of Resident Evil success. And I've been saying for years now, like, Resident Evil is having all this success. Horror games are more popular than they've arguably ever been. Why is EA not doing anything with Dead Space? They have one of the premier, you know, horror franchises just sitting collecting dust. It's about time they did something with it. And a lot of people like are comparing it to like, oh, well, they kind of did that with Mirror's Edge. And because a lot of people are like, oh, well, they rebooted Mirror's Edge too, and they made Catalyst, and nobody bought it. And it's like, yeah, but that turned out to be a prequel, and it just wasn't good. That's, you know, that's a totally different scenario compared to actually remaking the original Dead Space from 2008, which like it's ripe for. Oh, poor Ross.
You had to bring up Catalyst, didn't you?
I shouldn't have talked about it.
Excuse me for a second, but
I wish I could figure out how to spell that sound, because that would be the title.
Oh God, why?
Now tell me how that makes you feel.
I'm very sad now. I'm very sad.
But yeah, EA knows they have to tread carefully with this one because they were upset with how that turned out. And then that led to them being like, hey, you know what? Single player games suck. And then they ruined all their multiplayer games. And so now they're like, okay, single player games have to be good. Also, horror games are really popular. People ate Resident Evil 2 Remake up. We're going to do that with Dead Space, which I hope people eat that up because Dead Space is incredible, specifically that first game. So if they can kind of modernize that a little bit, make it a little smoother, it has to just, you got to capture that strength. Like Dead Space is so incredible as like a claustrophobic experience. Being on the Ishimura and just like hearing things crawling through the vents, hearing like the, things moaning in the background, and you're just like, what the fuck is that? You're just hearing things, you're seeing things, you're getting jumpy. And that's what makes that game incredible, is that feeling that like everything is so close, and if something does happen, you don't have a lot of room to work with. And, it's not like, in a lot of horror games, it's like, why don't you people just leave? Just go. Just get out of there. Leave. You can't just leave. Anywhere you go is space. You can't just go out and just be like, okay, I'm going to just fly home now with my little jet boots. It doesn't work like that. You're dead.
Yeah,
so
if they do what they did with Catalyst, they'll put the stomp behind an upgrade tree that you have to unlock. That would be sick.
Oh boy, that would be.
Like a lot, like most basic movement abilities you had in Mirror's Edge that were locked behind an upgrade tree. That was pretty cool.
I just want to walk up and just start stomping corpses. Stomp, stomp. I want to throw a tantrum on these ill-equipped necromorphs. I wonder if they would like do it beat for beat. Like I have to imagine if it's a remake, they're going to have to do it beat for beat. But I wonder if they would change certain things.
Mm-hmm.
And like if they did, what would they change? Like because Dead Space had like this really cool like. Now that there's rumors that it's going to be a remake, I'm uncomfortable talking spoilers because like I don't want to talk about the game
again. Yeah.
But like there was like this weird kind of like there's the A plot, which is what the fuck is going on the Ishimura. Then there's the B plot of like this doctor who survived and is like doing some weird shit and is like he's like talking to you and kind of like taunting. Like there's this B plot that feels like very like Bioshocky in a way, where it's like this guy is kind of like openly antagonizing you and he's clearly doing something weird, but you don't know what and you don't know why. And so you're kind of figuring that out while you're on the A plot. And then there's this C and D plot that's happening that you don't actually realize is happening until it's like too late. And then there's a moment with there's that chase scene that is like incredible. Ross, where you're like moving the boxes and you're just like, no, I gotta go.
Yep, I remember.
Dead Space has incredible set piece moments. Like there's no like flawless horror game, but Dead Space is the one horror game that hit every note for me in terms of like it was the first horror game I ever played that like I was comfortable finishing. And I was scared. Like it's funny, the first time I played through Dead Space on normal, it actually didn't even really scare me. It was when I played it again on the impossible difficulty and enemies started being tankier. That's what scared me, when the enemies were tougher. And then I was like, oh shit. That's when the game got scary, because it went from I could 2-tap a guy and take his arms off or whatever. But then when I'm firing 4 shots, 5 shots, and he's still coming, I'm just like, oh my God, I'm dead. That's where the real like horror came in. So like, as much as I hate being that guy, like Dead Space is like a better game, kind of the harder you play it on, because it's that tense, it's that intensity that like makes every moment feel life or death. even with like the simple enemies. So I am 100% on board if they want to remake that first game. 100%. I think that's the right move. And then from there, I like Dead Space 2. Dead Space 2 is an incredible game. I don't agree with all the decisions they made, like making it more and more action as the series went on. That took away from what made Dead Space special in the first place. So I would like to see them remake the first one and then do a new sequel that maybe doesn't follow Isaac Clarke. Like I don't think like Isaac Clarke is a bad hero, but I think by making him the main protagonist of the series, it you have to you struggle because that's the thing in like Dead Space 2 you had to go back to the Ishimura and things like that, and that was the best part of Dead Space 2 was going back to the Ishimura because that's the best part about Dead Space is being on that ship. And what they did in Dead Space 2 just didn't work with the horror vibe. It just didn't come together the same way, and it wasn't scary. It was tense, but it wasn't scary. So I would like to see them reboot it and then kind of take it in a new direction. Maybe focus on some different characters, some different scenarios, and not necessarily make it have to be the story of Isaac Clarke. Make it the story of like this really fucked up universe that's with these terrifying creatures and how people deal with it. I think that's a much cooler story, to me at least.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it turns out.
Yeah, because Dead Space is one of the few horror games you've ever played, let alone finished, right?
Yep, I liked it a lot.
And you can vouch that's an incredible game.
It's very, very good. Yes, indeed.
Did you ever play Dead Space, Tony?
No, I kind of started trying to play, I think 3.
Yeah.
I just kind of stopped partway through.
3 is a good game, but it is not like a good Dead Space game. The first half is fine, but then the second half is just kind of like a bunch of bullshit, and it kind of it kind of puts its head up its own ass a little bit. And then the DLC was better in how they handled the scares. They definitely tried to make a scarier game in the DLC. But like the thing is they had this ridiculous story and they just kept escalating it. And then that DLC like escalated it all the way. And then like, that's the thing is where do you go from here? Like, I don't think they're going to follow through with the whole trilogy again. So I'm comfortable talking about that DLC. They basically like the mother brain of like the necromorphs like ended up going to Earth, and like that's how the DLC ended.
Mm-hmm.
Was them just being like, okay, we're going to Earth. So like Dead Space 4, Hell on Earth, and now I'm the Doom guy or something. I don't know what do you do with that? I'm Isaac Clarke. I'm gonna save the planet. No, he's supposed to just be an engineer. He's not a fucking superhero. Yeah. That's what kind of pissed me off as the series went on is like, here's Isaac Clarke, action hero. And it's like, no, Isaac Clarke is supposed to be an engineer in over his head. That's why the first game worked. Now in the second game, he's like experienced. He knows how to deal with them and it kind of makes sense. But by the third game, he's just an action hero. He's just like, the summer blockbuster. He's going to be played by Chris Evans,
Nice.
In the whole first movie, Chris Evans doesn't talk. It's not till he takes off the helmet that you're like, oh my God, that's Captain America. Oh God. I don't know. Like that would be the one thing I would change, honestly. If I changed anything about it, it would be like how that stuff, how they build the series after one would be the stuff I would change.
Mm-hmm.
So, hey, Ross, breaking news.
Mm-hmm.
Remember how Sony said that they weren't going to shut down the PS3 and the Vita stores, but they said they were going to shut down the PSP on July 2nd?
Yeah.
So apparently, there's an update to the page as of today. you'll still be able to purchase and play PSP content that is available on the PS3 and PS Vita stores. You'll no longer be able to make purchases via the in-game store for PSP content. So PSP games will still be available.
Yeah, I think I saw some figure that there's only 35 digital games available on the PSP store in total anyway. So it makes sense if they're still on the Vita store. That's cool.
Yeah, that is very exciting. I'm glad that they are not going all the way crazy. So here's a weird thing. You know how EA is doing their thing? We speak. I guess I should have transitioned this way, but that was a thing I just saw. So you know how EA is doing this thing on July 22nd, their EA Play event. You would think, obviously they're going to have Dead Space there, and they're probably going to show Battlefield, and maybe they'll tease the next Need for Speed. You would think, given the success of Mass Effect Legendary Edition, maybe they would talk more about Mass Effect. And you would think that maybe with Dragon Age, let's not forget that got announced, and they've barely shown anything. You would think perfect showcase for Dragon Age, right? You would think. What if I told you that neither of those games will be at the show?
What will be?
That's what I want to know.
Anthem 2. Boom!
Oh boy.
Put that in the titles.
Yeah, Anthem 2 blah.
But imagine potentially launching a new Dragon Age game next year and then not showing anyone anything.
Yep.
You have this big event, the perfect place to show Dragon Age.
Yes.
And then you make the conscious decision, you know what? We're not actually going to do that.
Yes.
The people have been waiting. And we're happy to say you're going to continue to wait until we say you're done waiting.
Yep, it's Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare 2 coming to
already
mobile
made
devices. That. 3 coming to...
They already made that.
4
it just wasn't
coming to mobile devices. To a store near you.
How many times?
It's 5.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it'll be hey, maybe it'll be something cool. Maybe it'll be like 2080, where we'll see first footage of the Dead Space remake and see other stuff that's not the normal stuff. I don't know.
It's just so... All right. Well, it boggles the mind, but we're gonna wrap things up on 3 PlayStation stories, okay? Because it's been we can maybe technically make. Oh, hey Ross, remember when Humble got added that donation limit and everybody hated it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you know how they said we're gonna take that away. We're not gonna do that anymore.
Right. There's a donation limit.
So they had a limit to how much that you could give to the charities. So you could give 100% of the money to the charity when you buy a Humble Bundle.
Oh, okay.
But they limited that so that they could get more money.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm listening, Chris.
So
go on.
This is from Humble. In mid-July, we'll be rolling out a new iteration of sliders that creates even more opportunities to support important causes. While splits on each bundle will vary, on average, there will be a minimum amount for Humble Bundle between 15 and 30%.
What?
So depending on the bundle, Humble is going to take a minimum cut of what you pay, 15 to 30%.
And how's this tie into PlayStation?
Oh, no, this is unrelated. This is unrelated to PlayStation.
Oh, okay.
I was just reading this real quick.
Yeah.
I get why they would do this, but there's still I guess you could still technically give the rest of it to the charity, but I feel like there's a better way to do this. Maybe you have hey, you can do the sliders, but maybe you do a processing fee or something. Hey, you know what? You're going to buy this bundle, but if you give it all to charity, there's an extra charge or something of like, Humble needs to stay open.
Yeah, yeah. There's probably a different way they could go about that, but
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, so have you been reading much of the indie stuff going on with PlayStation right now?
I've been seeing that it's been seeing more and more that it's been kind of a nightmare to work with PlayStation.
Yeah, so remember when the PS4 was coming out and they were like indie heaven and everything, like back in the Adam Boys days,
The Vita
the
days.
Vita days, when
Yeah.
everything came out on Vita and the indies loved it.
Hmm.
And then Sony stopped caring. And so in the grand scheme of things, I guess I get why they would do what they're doing, but at the same time, it's like it's a drop in the bucket for any, major publisher. So
Hmm.
for exposure on the PlayStation Store or on the dashboard, you have to pay $25,000 to get your game surfaced on there. And so the PlayStation 5 store is bad to begin with. It's not
Very
a good
bad.
store.
No.
And it doesn't surface almost anything of value, period.
Yes.
And now, so like if you're an indie studio, releasing your first game, you probably don't have $25,000. You probably just spent all your money making this game. So now you're going to release on PlayStation and get buried because Activision can spend $25,000 by just blinking their eyes. Who are you? So yeah, like it's this stupid thing where it's like, why won't you, like, what happened? What got so far up their ass other than the fact that they realized they could sell 10 million copies of their games again, that Sony is just like, fuck the indies, fuck everyone else, we either buy our exclusives or we make a third person semi-open world action game?
Yeah. I mean,
Deal?
since the PlayStation 4, there's been a lot of turnover at Sony in terms of upper management between Adam Boyes and Jack Tretton. Like, there's been a lot of change. So it seems like the change has not been very indie friendly, which is too bad because they were like out of between them and Microsoft, they were kind of the out of the two of them the bastion for indies.
Well,
For
they
a
had
long
altered
time.
because remember it was 360 for a while.
No, I was just
Then
talking about
what?
Xbox One, PS4.
Oh yeah, so yeah, and that's the thing is everybody, and right now it's Nintendo.
Oh yeah, 100%.
In this modern day and age, it's Nintendo. So all three have had a shot at the crown, but it's like, and from what I'm reading, is Nintendo, or not Nintendo, excuse me, Sony is acknowledging that these things are an issue, and they're telling people like, yeah, we realize it's a problem, and they just chosen not to fix it.
Yeah. Which is, I don't know.
Why? Like every time I feel like I'm, so like, with the two things we're about to talk about, every time I think like Sony's finally like going back in the right direction, and they do something incredibly fucking stupid. Or we
Yeah.
realize they've been doing something incredibly stupid, and it's like, why won't you people stop?
It's like some of the PS3 generations leaking into the PS5 generation in terms of some decisions that are being made. It's weird and sad.
It's very sad. It's just like, it shouldn't be that hard. I would think it shouldn't be that hard to fix. Microsoft has options and Nintendo has options for developers to get surfaced for free. Sony should have a threshold where it's like, okay, like, if you're like, X amount of revenue, or whatever, then like, boom, you don't have to pay that, or we will surface you because it's like your first game. Like, Sony should want to surface these games because, that's how Sony can create like, that brand. Like, that's the thing is like Nintendo creates, this ideal surrounding, and maybe it's because the Vita's gone. Maybe it's because of that Sony doesn't care as much, because maybe they look at maybe it's a situation where, the indie games don't sell as well on the PlayStation console now. Maybe they just don't see the money and they're like, look, like, this isn't going to make or break us. Or maybe, maybe it's just a situation of like, look, these games are going to come out on our platform regardless. If people want them, they know where to find them. And maybe they're just trusting the fact that their users are more connected than ever. Not to justify Sony in what they're doing, but like that's the only way that I look at it. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe they just are like, look, we're not going to fight for that crowd when they're selling boxes because people want the next God of War. But it's a bad look when they're the only ones who aren't giving them, an easy way. When they seem to be the only ones who are giving them a hard time, they start to look bad. And it's something I think they should address.
Yeah, I mean, between like, granted, the supply chain stuff is not necessarily Sony's fault. Everyone's having problems with it, but like between the supply chain shortages, people not being able to get a PS5, the awful PS5 store, and now this, it's like it's kind of a string of like not great vibes for Sony. So we'll see what happens next.
Yeah, but in some good news for them, Sony did in the last few days make 2, potentially 3 acquisitions. The other day they bought Housemarque, developers of Returnal and other popular games. Other games that I'm sure Housemarque wishes were more popular. I think they were popular. Nex Machina, Resogun, Super Stardust HD. My personal favorite, Dead Nation, was a Housemarque jam. Love that game. They are now a first-party studio, and they seem really, really psyched about it.
It makes perfect sense.
Yeah, this is one of those acquisitions that, like, I've said it before that I'm not a huge fan of consolidation in the industry, but this is one of those acquisitions that just kind of makes perfect sense because they released like 1 or 2 games multi-platform and everything else was Sony. It was like at a certain point, like it just makes sense if that's the direction you're going anyway. At a certain point, it just makes sense to sign the deal and be like, hey, you know what? Especially because Housemarque in recent years was saying like we need to make a big game to keep the studio alive, and so now that's not a concern anymore. Now you can just you can focus on just making games and let Sony keep the lights on
and continue to diversify that Sony portfolio as well.
Yeah,
even though Returnal's a third person. Granted, it's a roguelite, but
like at the same time though, like a lot of things I hear, I still need to play Returnal. But a lot of people say like they're really excited to see what they would do with a sequel. What they would do if they made another Returnal, knowing what they learned from this one. There's always that potential. Sony also bought Nixies, I believe, was the team. NIXS or NIXXES, Nixes or Nixies. I don't know how you say that. They've primarily done a lot of like port work and support work for Square Enix, which kind of surprised me how Sony ended up with them. They must have done something, but they worked on Avengers, they worked on Shadow of the Tomb Raider, specifically like PC ports and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think that's what people are noticing the most is that they're well known for being a very good PC porting studio, which leads to Sony releasing more of their first party games on PC.
And I wonder if it's also something of like, hey, they saw what happened with Guerrilla having to fix the PC port of Horizon, and they probably are also looking at, hey, we don't want to have to take Sony Bend again and have them fully port a PC version when they could have a team that's already experienced doing it, and then take a smaller team from Bend and be like, okay, these are the things we want to see. Because that Days Gone port is still one of the best ports of a console game to PC ever, period. There are that's better than most games that release exclusively on PC. So credit to them for that. Incredible work. So if Nixies can come in and make this port process simpler, then that's good for everybody. But they also bring a lot of just support talent. They are, Sony has like their interactive, like, the division we were talking about when we were talking about like the whole AAA thing with them, that studio that tried to make a new game and then Sony shut them down when it was the Last of Us remake. Remember we were talking about that? Yeah. So you know, they have a division that's a support division that kind of comes in and helps to clean up and finish games. So if they can come in and do that and continue to do it at a high level, then that's huge for Sony, because that means they can just get these games out faster, especially in these trying times.
Yeah, and it just frees up whatever portion of the original developer would be working on the technical parts of the port to be brought on to the main current project they're working on, and not kind of have those resources split up when they don't need to be. So I think it's a very smart move for Sony, to bring such a well-established PC port company on board, because I think we're going to see more day and date releases with PS5 and PC as the years go on. So
I hope so.
Makes sense.
Or at least in short order. Maybe instead of
a
being
few
2
months or
years, maybe
something,
it's a year, or maybe it's 6 months, you know?
Yeah.
Last bit
So-
of news, and I don't know if you want to kind of take this one, Ross, but Ghost of Tsushima is getting a director's cut.
Right.
I have the link here if you want it.
I have one right here.
Okay.
So yeah, they already updated the game with the PS5 patch, where it runs at a buttery 60 FPS and is one of the most beautiful games I've ever seen in my life. But in the director's cut, they're adding a new island, and as well as additional like PS5 enhancements like haptic feedback. They're adding Japanese lip sync, which was not in the original game, which will be very nice for everyone who prefers the sub performances. But it's releasing on August 20th on both PS5 and PS4. Obviously, the PS4 will not get the haptic feedback, etc., etc. But yeah, it's a brand new island with a new story, with the whole kind of lore surrounding it is that there's rumors of a Mongol presence on the island, but it sounds like it's going to be actually a very personal story for Jin, which is cool.
Mongolians.
Yeah, thank you. Iconic. You can't say that without. You can't say Mongolian without that popping into literally everyone's minds.
South Park is a cultural phenomenon.
Yeah. So there's new environments, new armor for Jin as well as his horse, new mini games, new sword techniques, new enemy types, which is awesome. Chris, you still need to play this game.
I'm going to now that they're doing this.
Yeah.
They also said they're going to do more updates for the Legends mode,
which I really want to play so bad.
On the PlayStation blog here, new updates including an all-new mode, and they will be available at no additional charge to any version of Ghost of Tsushima. Now, the one thing I really wanted to talk to you about, Ross. So, the director's cut is going to be available brand new for $69 on PS5 and $60 on PS4, but that includes all the content.
Sure.
That game being $59 again on PS4 is a little. You can get that game for a lot. In the year of its release, I got that game for like $20.
Right.
So like, I don't feel like that's a good move. Selling it for $59 again. Not to say that no work went into it, but this upgrade thing, man. So if I, as an owner of Ghost of Tsushima, I can upgrade, and you can too, Ross. You can pre-order an upgrade to Director's Cut for $19.99. That upgrade will become available August 20th.
Okay.
If you buy the Director's Cut on PS4, you have to pay $10 to upgrade to the PS5 version.
That's not
if
great.
you upgrade directly from original Ghost of Tsushima to the Director's Cut on PS5 on or after August 20th, it's $30.
Yep. That's not great.
This is the absolute scummiest way you can possibly do this. It's one thing if you do, like, perfect example, Final Fantasy VII Remake. Free upgrade for PlayStation 4 owners. Intergrade or like, they're selling Integrate, but the intermission is separate content that
Right.
I get my upgrade for free, and then I can buy that. And anybody who buys Intergrade will just get that. That's completely fair. If you wanted to package the director's cut as an upgrade and be like, hey, this comes with Iki Island and comes with the dub and all that stuff, but we're gonna do the free update. We're gonna update the base game to run on PS5 natively. And then the director's cut content is going to include the Iki Island and stuff like that. I'm assuming that's how you say that. That's one thing if you want to charge money for that. But to charge money for people who already bought the game, especially right now when it's like, if I can pre-order it and save $10 on the upgrade. The fuck?
Yeah, I'm assuming this is a Sony thing and not a Sucker Punch thing.
Yeah, I imagine a lot of work went into this, and I'm not trying to say that I'm not trying to say that they shouldn't feel justified in charging for their work. I imagine, re lip syncing the whole game cannot be a simple process. And then adding all this new content and stuff. But this just feels dirty, like to charge for, they did the free patch, they did the free update, so I guess there's that. But I guess the question is, does the original Ghost of Tsushima stay on the store? Can you still buy that for a lower price? And then just play it on PS5 with the 60 FPS, but the PS4 visuals?
I feel like yes. Or is like, at least maybe if you get the disc version, maybe yes. I don't know.
Probably at that point, yes.
Yeah. But yeah,
like,
it's convoluted and weird, and it's like it's between the good of how Final Fantasy VII did it and NBA 2K21, where you don't get any free upgrade and you have to pay $70 for the new game. It's like,
unless you buy their $100 version.
Sure. Yeah, of course.
Which at that point it's the same. But like, I don't know. I just look at this move and I'm just like, Microsoft would never do this.
Yeah.
Microsoft wouldn't do this.
No, they wouldn't. They smart delivery.
It would just run. They would do the update for
run.
free, and then they would sell the director's cut as a separate piece of content.
Yeah,
which is what I think they should do.
Yeah, and again, like with the kind of stories that have been coming out about Sony lately, like, again, I don't know how much of this is Sucker Punch and how much of it is Sony, or if it's a blend of
Well, it's
both.
all Sony, because I don't think Sucker Punch is going to Sony and being like, hey, we came up with a great way to charge $19.99 for this upgrade. I think Sucker Punch is doing the work, and Sony's coming back and like, okay, this wasn't cheap. How are we going to recoup this? Okay, we're going to charge for the upgrade. I think they should update the game. You should get the PS5 version, the native PS5 version, for free if you own the game.
Right.
The director's cut should be the add-on content.
Yeah.
That should be what you charge. If you want to charge $29.99 for that and you want to pitch it as like an expansion, totally fair. This includes the Japanese dub or the Japanese lip sync. If you want to do all that as like, a paid side thing, that's totally your business. But this just feels like a convoluted mess where, honestly, the fact that they're charging $59 for the director's cut leads me to believe there will not be a base version of Ghost of Tsushima going forward. I think Sony wants to double dip.
Yeah. And putting a $60 version on your last gen console, it's like,
and then charging $10 to upgrade.
Yep. It just feels like,
which is really funny, because technically, if you do it that way, you save a penny. So it's cheaper.
Yeah, it's convoluted and a mess and not great. That being said, if you did not experience Ghost of Tsushima originally, you absolutely should still play the game, because it's phenomenal. But
yeah, and that's the benefit. This has no impact on anybody coming to the game for the first time.
Yeah,
because they're just going to buy the game, and that's the game they get.
Yep.
But for someone like me, like, granted, I didn't pay full price for my copy of Ghost of Tsushima, so like I'm gonna pre-order that, because I'd be stupid if I didn't get the upgrade for $20. So I'm gonna pre-order that because I'm not an idiot. But that's gonna be what finally that's kind of what I've been holding out for, is because a lot of these games have been getting their native patches.
Right.
And so it's like, I've been waiting, like, what are they gonna do for Ghost of Tsushima? Because it's too new to just leave it.
Yeah.
Now I'm wondering, are they gonna do the same thing for The Last of Us? Are we going to get something for The Last of Us where they're like, hey, we can charge people again for this?
If they do, then we'll know 100% that it's Sony at that point.
Yeah, and then that's just its whole other issue. I'm happy though for the team at Sucker Punch, because I don't think anybody expected this game to do what it has done.
Yeah, it came out in an absolutely stacked year and held its own.
From a team you wouldn't expect to do a game like this.
Yeah.
You know, because aren't they based in like Seattle or something?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
And now they're honorary ambassadors of Tsushima.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Because they're like, oh my god, you guys did this for us. This is incredible.
The visibility through the game literally like paid for a crowdfunding thing to help repair like some like a monument or something.
Yeah, that burned down.
Island. Yeah,
and the fans of this game are helping to restore this island, and
it's great.
This game is going to have a lasting impact on this real place.
Yeah.
And it's not often a game can do that, let alone a game about a completely different culture in a completely different country by people who weren't raised in it, you know?
Yeah.
Everything should have gone wrong for this game, but none of it did.
Yeah. If you did not experience this originally and this would be your first time coming to it, buy it. It's worth it. It's so good. It's so good. And it was incredibly gorgeous on PS4. I can only imagine the little flourishes and touches they're going to make for the native PS5 version.
Yeah, because it's going to be at dynamic 4K now, 60 FPS, but you're going to get those visual improvements. You know, it sounds like this isn't just, you know, stacked on the PS4 version. It sounds like they did the work to make this run natively on a PS5. It's not just unlocking the frame rate on the PS4 Pro version.
Right.
So, you know, at least there's that. And so I imagine that's how they're justifying charging for it. And I just hope that the work is worth the cost.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see how dense the Iki Island content is and how long the story there takes and kind of how interesting the new side activities that they put in are.
I bet you they'll add, like, aside from that new mode, I bet you they'll add stuff from that island into Legends.
Yeah, I bet so too. Man, with the last 5-7 years, it's a great time for a PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale too. You got a lot more people you can add into the game.
Just give it to like Namco and just be like, guys, come on, make this happen.
Please. I would be so excited.
The hell was I gonna say? I was just gonna say something specifically about this on PS5. Shit. Oh, I bet this director's cut stuff lays the groundwork for this game to come to PC.
Oh yeah.
I bet this is 100% how they're gonna bring it to PC. And I wouldn't be surprised if by the end of the year it was coming to PC or early next year.
Mm-hmm. That'd be pretty sweet.
I feel like that's Sony's best strategy at this point. Like, if they're not going to do what Microsoft does and give you a copy of it on PC for free, your best bet is, while the game is still hot, wait 6 to 8 months and then just put it on PC and get those people to buy it.
Yeah, and
then you fill the gaps between your major releases by getting the PC people to buy your games.
Yep, and you bring in Nixie to do this exact thing. So
yeah.
Listen, bring Ratchet and Clank. Yeah, I'm pretty good.
Man, what would Ratchet and Clank look like on my PC?
Pretty fucking incredible.
You'd miss the load times, though, because somebody's going to try and load it from a hard drive, and they're going to hit the Blizon crystal, and it's just going to be like, nope.
Nope. Yep.
They're going to be like, you have to have a Gen 4 NVMe, and people are going to be like, fucking Sony, what? I'm not going to upgrade my PC for your game. The hard drive costs as much as a PlayStation. I might as well buy a PlayStation. Then buy a PlayStation. I'm not going to do that for one game.
Blizzard Prime, when you hit the crystal for the first time, up for best moment of the year.
We don't do that anymore.
Not even going to lie. Anyway, we should wrap this up.
Yes. No, we're good.
But yeah, so kind of as a reminder for moving forward, remember Halo Book Club, Cryptum. We're starting off with. You have a few weeks to read that. That's kind of the big reminder. I was going to work this in if we were going to talk about any multiplayer stuff during the podcast about how many mags a multiplayer game would be, but we didn't. So the joke never came. So I bought this for $8.
God. You bought mag. Is that even still
shit.
working?
Nope, you literally cannot play this game because there are no offline modes. But it was $8.
Oh
my god!
So I got it.
It's all come around.
Complete with the manual.
That looks like it's in good shape.
It's in really great shape.
Yeah, that's pretty.
Where did you get it?
eBay. Man. It was $8, and I was like, $8 free shipping. This is worth it.
Why
for the
were you
podcast.
looking for mag? Were you just like, was it just stuck in your brain?
Really, he really had to, commit to that joke.
I really thought the whole mag joke we've had over the past few weeks was way funnier to me specifically than it had any right to be, and I just kept thinking about it.
Mark said he listened to that episode just because of that title.
Yep. So, I bought it because I couldn't get the mag joke out of my head. So
fair enough. I mean, it's a pretty good joke.
Yeah.
How many mags is it?
How many mags? 1/2 mag, a quarter mag, 1/16 mag. Who knows? Anyway, that's really all I had to say. Yeah. Have a good week, guys.
One other quick thing.
Yeah.
Because we talked about it in the last recording, but we didn't in this one. We normally do the games for gold in the PlayStation Plus. There's only one game that really matters. Plague Tale Innocence PS5 version is on PlayStation Plus, so everybody should just get that on Tuesday.
Yeah,
if you have PlayStation Plus, there's nothing else really
across both of them
noteworthy.
Really. Yeah.
So a Plague Tale Innocence PS5. The rumors were true, and I'm gonna definitely play that. Thank you guys so much for listening. We love you, and we'll catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.
See you.
Bye.
Anthem 2.